saw the new FBI director. He was grilled by Republicans up on Capitol Hill just over the appearance that some in the FBI may have a political bias.
He kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump. I don't think there'd be anybody left.
A top Justice Department official is demoted for meeting with people behind the Trump dossier.
Look, I think it's just proof of what's happening, the politicization of the criminal justice system. I just think we have to move back and start looking at things objectively and scientifically and finding out what really happened.
An Olympic slam from skier Lindsey Vonn as she takes aim at President Trump.
I hope to represent the people of the United States, not the president.
I think we all hope a deal can be reached. We hope that the Democrats will be willing to put aside partisan politics and focus on fully funding the government.
We hope that we're going to make some great progress for our country. I think that will happen.
We shall always remember how they died for liberty. Just remember Pearl Harbor and go on to victory.
Yeah.
It is Friday, December 8th, and you are watching America's #1 cable morning news show from the mezzanine level here at our world headquarters, 48th and 6th Avenue. Pete Hegseth looks fine right now, but actually he got into a car last night at about 11 o'clock after emceeing Ollie North's event down in Washington.
Sleeping like this.
And he slept for, what, 4 hours in the car?
Ish, yeah. And then about half an hour at the house.
Just like that.
You're
so
a good
we're
man.
here. So you're excited to be here. But you know why you're excited to be here? Because this is not just the center of New York City. It's the center of the free world. I mean, Fox and Friends, we get to broadcast to amazing Americans. You guys do every single day of the week in this great country, in the freest country on earth. And
amen.
What an honor.
I know. And Ollie North, what a great event.
It was a neat event. It was the Freedom Alliance, Oliver North's group last night in Washington, D.C. I had a chance to MC. They do amazing things for vets, military families. It was an honor.
And it happened on Pearl Harbor Day, but really the significance is the Army-Navy Games
Go
this
Army,
weekend, right?
Saturday. We'll be
Coming
ready.
up tomorrow. Philly. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about this. This is our lead story today. You know, how many times have we heard Republicans in Congress say, it kind of looks like, you know, that dirty dossier, as it's been nicknamed, was used to rationalize why, through a FISA warrant, why the federal government should be spying back during the campaign on the Trump campaign. Well, now the big question is, how high did that dossier go in President Obama's Justice Department? Now we know at least part of the answer. A guy who is 4 doors down from one of the top guys, his name is Bruce Ohr. He was the Assistant Deputy Attorney General. Yep. And apparently he was meeting with the people behind the dossier. And that's a problem. And he got fired from that part of his job yesterday.
Let me recap for you if you're at home. This all gets very confusing. So Hillary Clinton pays this law firm, right? The law firm pays Fusion GPS. They pay Christopher Steele, who's that spy over in the UK, and then he pays Russia to come up with this dirty dossier that the president has debunked, says it's not true. So if that's the case, if it's not true, and then they use that dirty dossier to justify spying or surveilling President Trump when he was running against Hillary Clinton and the FBI was in on this, that's corruption.
That's right, and we want to know how high did it go, who knew, and what was their motive. Because if you get a dossier like that dropped in your lap, you're going to take a look at it if you're the DOJ or the FBI and say, hey, is there there? But once it's not verified, if you, to quote Jim Jordan, if you're dressing it up and try to make it look like an intelligence document that you then use to justify potential surveillance, that's some serious politically motivated corruption, if it is true. And so when you lose Bruce Ohr off the special counsel, he's fired. We've seen other people that have been let go, Peter Strzok, all for reasons that look surprisingly, not surprisingly, political.
All these people have connections to this dirty dossier, and they work for our government. So you have these Republicans in the House that are saying, we want answers. We want to know what these conversations were like. So now they have to subpoena the DOJ because the DOJ and Jeff Sessions are not releasing that information.
Right, and
they
yesterday...
don't want us to know what those conversations were.
Yesterday, the director of the FBI said, look, I'd like to answer your question, but right now the Inspector General for the Department of Justice is looking into whether there's a political bias, so I can't answer your question. But Jim Jordan, at one point, toward the end of his 5 minutes, he asked the quintessential question of the director of the FBI. Show us the information the FBI took to the FISA court to rationalize whether or not you should spy on the Trump the Trump campaign. Well, you would think it would be simple, right? Not so much.
Director, did Peter Strzok help produce and present the application to the FISA court to secure a warrant to spy on Americans associated with the Trump campaign?
Congressman, I'm not prepared to discuss anything about a FISA process in this setting.
Not of Peter Strzok. Was he involved in taking that to the court?
I'm not going to discuss in this setting anything to do with the FISA court applications.
It's been reported that this dossier was all dressed up by the FBI, taken to the FISA court, and presented as a legitimate intelligence document, that it became the basis for granting a warrant to spy on Americans. And I'm wondering, I'm wondering if that actually took place. It sure looks like it did.
All dressed up by the FBI.
Let's hope not. But I will, a clarification we've been making all morning. This is not the entirety of the FBI. No. Agents do great work at the FBI, and we're quite proud of that. It seems to be a small circle of Clinton and Obama affiliated officials who used and weaponized intelligence, if you will, for what it perceived to be potentially political purposes. That's the real problem here. Right. We learn of a new name every day: Weissman, Strzok, Orr, Yates, people that you never would normally hear from. Now they're household names.
And these are the people who are doing the investigating. So we're just talking about the very highest levels of the leadership of the FBI, and that is the worry. And that is because they can't really get the answers from, at this point, from the FBI.
Well,
they are considering a contempt of Congress citation against them.
Well, everyone has their own political views and their own political opinions. We wouldn't have an FBI if we just put people in that didn't ever vote.
Sure.
So it's understandable that they have their own views, but do their views, are they making their decisions within the FBI political? And if that's the case, then we need to know about it. We need to get to the bottom of it, and those people need to get out. And then that's definitely going to influence these investigations. And it is fishy. It is funny that they're removing people from these investigations because of that.
But it's because they're being exposed, not because necessarily they're deciding to play it down the middle. I mean, Bob Mueller has hired the all-star team of pro-Hillary Democratic lawyers for his so-called special counsel.
And you know what? So far through this Inspector General, we've actually learned a bunch of stuff. We've learned that this Peter Strzok guy, anti-Trump. He had the text messages with his girlfriend, who was a lawyer on the Mueller team as well. Apparently, it doesn't look good. Alan Dershowitz was with us a little while ago. He's taken some heat, actually, for saying the President of the United States did not obstruct justice. Here he is talking about what appears to be political bias and corruption at the FBI right now.
I think it's just proof of what's happening, the politicization of the criminal justice system. That's why right from the beginning I wanted to have a nonpartisan commission looking into this. I just think we have to move back and start looking at things objectively and scientifically and finding out what really happened. Now, I think we do see some bias among some FBI agents, but I'm sure the bias operates both ways. I'm sure there are people who are Trump supporters, people who are Clinton supporters, and what we have to do is make sure that people who have strong views recuse themselves from participating in any investigation.
None of this was ever supposed to come out because Hillary Clinton was supposed to win. Can you imagine how much deeper and swampier the swamp would be if this was all covered up?
Let me add one more name to the swamp. The name is Jenny Rhee. She's a former Department of Justice lawyer who has joined the Robert Mueller special counsel team. Now, she used to represent the Clinton Foundation. She was their lawyer, and as a partner at another law firm, she represented former Obama security advisor Ben Rhodes.
We need the graphic of Santa like rolling out his list, and the list just gets longer and longer.
It does indeed. All right. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about Lindsey Vonn. Lindsey Vonn was appearing on television yesterday.
Olympic skier.
Yeah, she's won gold before. She would like to win another one.
Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend.
Indeed. So as she skis, is she skiing for the United States? Is she skiing for the President of the United States? Who's she skiing for? Watch this.
How will it feel competing at an Olympic Games for a United States whose president is Donald Trump?
Well, I hope to represent the people of the United States, not the president. I don't think there are a lot of people currently in our government that do that.
Would you accept an invitation to the White House if you were to win Olympic gold in Pyeongchang?
Absolutely not. No, but I have to win to be invited, so. No, actually, I think every U.S. team member is invited, so no, I won't go.
But for you, it's definitely not.
No.
It reminds me, maybe she may get the preemptive disinvitation, just like Steph Curry did when he made similar comments.
I mean, I'm old school. I'm traditionalist. I think if the President of the United States invites you to the White House, you go. I don't care if you voted for him or not. If you're skiing for America, for the red, white, and blue, you represent everybody, including the President. And when the President asks you to come to the White House, why would you say no to that? Even if you disagree, can't we all be one country under the red, white, and blue?
Well, I was looking at the email machine and I saw somebody say, if you don't want to go to represent all the people of the United States, which she said she did, but that also includes Donald Trump because he is the president.
And he is
Lindsey
American.
Vaughn, don't go. The email is.
I think the president just say, fine, don't accept the invitation. That's another invitation I'll send to someone else.
I think that's entirely correct. And the question was absurd, too. Would they ever ask that question? So, of Barack Obama? You know, Barack Obama's your president. Did you go to the White House? I mean, it doesn't even get asked. But to just say that.
Funny. It's just getting funny.
It's getting absurd. And I think America feels the same way.
And that's why we're telling folks about that funny Friday story.
That's right.
All right. Meanwhile, 8:11 in New York City, and time for a developing story with Julia.
That's right. Good morning, guys. We are following some developing stories at this hour, including this. A student unleashes a deadly attack at school, leaving 2 people dead. Panicked students and staff hiding inside classrooms as the gunman opened fire at Aztec High School in New Mexico. The gunman was shot to death, but at this point, it's unclear if he took his own life. Hundreds paying respects at a candlelight vigil last night to remember the victims, a cheerleading captain and football player. The motive behind the shooting remains unknown. Planned Parenthood under investigation by the Department of Justice over the sale of fetal tissue. The DOJ requesting unredacted documents from the Senate Judiciary Committees, the same panel that led the congressional probe into the Women's Health Organization. It comes after a 2015 investigation where undercover activists recorded themselves negotiating prices for that tissue. Planned Parenthood claims the video is heavily edited and misleading. Republican Congressman Trent Franks is stepping down. His resignation coming as the House announced it was opening a sexual misconduct investigation. Franks made female staffers uncomfortable when he asked them to serve as surrogate mothers. This happening shortly after Senator Al Franken announced his plans to resign amid mounting sexual misconduct allegations. 3 lawmakers have resigned this week alone: Franks, Franken, and Congressman John Conyers, who is accused of sexual harassment. And it's a bird, it's a plane? Nope, it's a meteor. Check it out. Dashcam video out of New Jersey capturing this amazing moment as a fireball ignites the sky just after 3 a.m. The Mays Landing officer who witnessed the ball of light says he was taken by surprise while on patrol. The American Meteor Society receiving multiple reports of other people seeing it as well. I've never seen anything like that, but I always wonder how I would react, because that's kind of frightening.
Well, it looks like a movie. Are you sure it's a meteor and it wasn't Pete driving by back from Washington so fast?
Yes.
That fast.
It's either Pete or a meteor.
Do you ever? Well done.
There you go.
I see what you did there. Or you wake up and you look out in your front lawn and there's a meteor in your lawn. You know?
Your yard is smoking.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jillian. All right. Fox News alert. Wildfires ripping through Southern California. Hundreds of thousands of acres and homes torched. No end in sight. Live report from California next.
And Tom Brady, he's got a new job. And it's a traffic cop.
That's the best looking sign I've ever seen.
We are back with a Fox News alert. It is 5:17 in the morning in California, and a live look at the wildfires ravaging portions of that state. California governor now turning to President Trump, asking for help.
That is so sad, y'all. These are Americans. These are their houses. More than 400 structures have been destroyed in Ventura County alone, and fire crews now warn the fires could last for weeks into Christmas.
And again, that is a live shot you're looking at right there on your television screen. We've got Will Carr live in and near that location where the evacuation zone is. It just widened. Will, what do you have for us?
Well, good morning, guys. At this point yesterday, there were 4 wildfires in Southern California. At this point this morning, there are now 6, including the Thomas Fire behind me, where in just about the last hour, we've seen this hellish smoke start ballooning up. This is what residents are going to see when the sun finally comes up this morning. And for the past couple of days, we've been on the front lines. Take a look at what we're seeing and what residents are saying. These flames have raced down this hillside in just the past couple of minutes. They're being fanned by the fierce winds we've had throughout the course of the day, and you can see that they are eating everything in their path. Now, the reason this is such a concern is because on this side of the Pacific Coast Highway, you have a number of beach homes. You can see just how close all of these flames are. There are firefighters on the other side spraying these down, trying to do everything that they can to protect this community.
We're very, very grateful for the fire department and all the fire departments from up and down the state and out of state. They're all here helping us. We never dreamt it would be back here again. We thought we were safe last night.
And this morning we have dramatic video of ranchers trying to rescue dozens of their horses as flames encircled their property. It shows you those terrifying moments when the flames can break out. And as you see this live look again, this is what they're going to see when the sun comes up here. It's another day where the winds are supposed to be strong, so we'll see what these fires have in store. Back to you.
We will indeed. All right, Will Carr
Hard to
out
watch.
in Ventura. Thank you.
Thanks for covering this. Appreciate it.
The lives, the homes, the animals.
I know,
Terrible.
and unpredictable and almost uncontrollable. I mean, they're doing.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah, the wind's insane. Well, hundreds of angry activists taking to the streets, protesting federal ICE agents who try to enforce the law.
Plus, there are a bunch of new movies that are hitting box offices this weekend if you want to go. Should you see them or should you skip them? Kevin McCarthy, the self-proclaimed nerd cheater guy.
Very festive.
Look at this. Look at this outfit.
Good to see you.
Hey,
So good to see you guys.
An underwater love story is swimming into theaters this weekend. It is a take on an old tale where even a fish out of water can find their soulmate.
It's called The Shape of Water. So should you see it or skip it? Let's ask Fox News contributor Kevin McCarthy. He is here with his review and an awesome jacket.
Steve, Ainsley, and Pete, good to see you guys this morning. Yeah, The Shape of Water, I know the premise sounds odd, but bear with me here.
What is the premise?
It's the idea of a woman falling in love with a sea creature.
Okay.
Sounds great.
It takes place in Baltimore in the 1960s. It's directed by a gentleman named Guillermo del Toro. Now, hear me out. It's actually a very grounded story. It's a romantic film, and I know it sounds strange, but the idea is that her character works at a government laboratory, and they bring in this asset, and he's played by Doug Jones, 90% prosthetics. It's an incredible performance, and they essentially communicate through sign language. She's a mute character, and she pays homage to the ASL. It's a beautiful love story. Sally Hawkins is brilliant in the film, and I think it's one of the best films of the year.
Wow.
You will see this nominated for Best Picture. Sally Hawkins will get a Best Actress nomination, and Guillermo del Toro will get a Best Director nomination. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm geeking out about this. This is pretty wild. Very low-budget film in regards to overall Hollywood. $19.5 million to make this movie. Here's the cool thing he did. He used an old-school technique called dry for wet. And what that means is you put your actors in a dry environment and make it look like they're underwater. Here's how he did this. Watch this. This is a relatively small budget. It looks like a $100 million film.
Yeah, we did 19.5, and what we did is we knew that the opening scene is such an operatic theatrical scene.
It's one shot, right?
One shot. And we needed to make you feel you were underwater. So what we use is a very old theatrical technique called dry for wet. We fill the stage with smoke. We shoot at a high speed. We put everything on wires, actors, props, furniture. Everything is on wires, and then you shoot it with fans hitting the clothes and the fabric, so it moves like it's underwater, and it looks like it's underwater. And then the actors pantomime that they're underwater, and you add bubbles digitally at the very end. Yeah.
What I love about Guillermo del Toro is that he's a kid. He's just a kid making movies, and you can feel his passion in every single frame. And the gentleman who plays the asset, the creature, is Doug Jones. He's been acting for years. Del Toro is one of the best filmmakers. He did Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Pacific Rim.
You must be giving this 4 stars.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
It is one of the best films of the year, and premise aside, when you see this, you will fall in love with this story. I love this movie.
Kevin,
it is brilliant.
It's what we love about you, too, as well. You're a kid.
Yeah, it is cool, though, how they were able to pull that off. The actors.
Well, you've ruined it now. You told us how they did it.
It's so cool, though.
Tell us about Darkest Hour.
Yes. So earlier this year, my favorite movie of the year is Dunkirk. And this is actually a really good companion piece to Dunkirk. So this takes place during World War II. Winston Churchill is played by Gary Oldman. And it's the idea of when he becomes prime minister, and he changed the course of war with Operation Dynamo, which was at Dunkirk. They saved over A ton, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were saved and brought back home.
By civilians, right?
By civilian ships. They sent out these civilian pleasure boats to pick up these soldiers and bring them home. It is a beautiful story, but Gary Oldman plays this character masterfully. He became Winston Churchill. You don't even see Oldman. Now, I will say he's going to win the Oscar this year. No question.
Just like that.
Best actor. I don't think this is his best work overall. I think The Professional or True Romance or The Fifth Element or Immortal Beloved or Dracula were better films, but I think overall
all of those are.
He is
okay.
so
recall.
He's so good in this movie, and it's shot well by Joe Wright, the director. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Historical film. And I will say for the audience out there, since we're nationwide, these films are on platform releases, and what that means is they come out in New York, L.A., D.C., and then over the next couple weeks they'll expand into theaters. So if you don't see it in your market yet, it will be there
Let me
eventually.
ask you this. When I got pregnant, everyone said, see a lot of movies. Because once you have a baby, you won't see one for another 18 years.
Yeah.
This is your job. You got married a year ago.
I do.
When y'all finally decide to have a family, are you still going to go to the movie?
100%. My wife's a film critic. We met in a movie theater. She works for Breitbart.
Good luck.
And she's an amazing woman. Her name's Lauren. So hi, Lauren, if you're watching at home.
DC Film Girl.
DC Film Girl. She watches movies with me all the time. All we do is go to the movies and talk about movies. And she's my best friend. So I just love watching movies with her together. So
All right, then
Lauren,
hire
if
a good
you're home.
babysitter.
I will, definitely. Oh, we're going to be hiring them every week. We're
That's
going
right.
to movies once a week.
But Ainsley, you're right. When you start having kids, you
I
stop
haven't
going.
seen one.
Last movie I saw, Amadeus.
That's a great movie. By the way, our first date,
true. You don't
our
go
first
very
date
often.
was Taco Bell.
Really?
Now we're
romantic.
married.
All right.
That's how it
Love the
works.
suit.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm interviewing Spielberg today. Steven Spielberg today.
Really?
Yes.
Tell him we said hi.
I will. I'm very
I love
excited.
your energy. Wait, you didn't say what you always say. You're so grateful to be here.
I am grateful to be here. I didn't want to overdo it, but I'm honored to be in New York City. I love this city. It's the best city
Oh
on
my
earth.
God,
And you
we
guys
love
are the
you so
best. I
much.
love this
You're the
couch.
best, Kevin.
The energy
Quite a
is
couch.
here.
Merry Christmas.
Good man.
Merry Christmas to you guys as
Thanks
well.
a lot. Appreciate it. Well, at President Trump's last rally, he went off on the NFL and started a firestorm. So what's going to happen tonight when he takes the stage in Pensacola? Coming up, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley joins us live with what we can expect at the Make America Great Again rally tonight.
Plus, a Pearl Harbor vet steals the show as President Trump commemorates the historic day in the Oval Office.
Just remember Pearl Harbor and go on to victory.
Throughout the war, one great battle cry could be heard by American friends and foes alike. Remember Pearl Harbor. Have you heard that before a couple of times? Remember Pearl Harbor.
Just remember Pearl Harbor as we did the Alamo. We shall always remember how they died for liberty. Just remember Pearl Harbor and go on to victory.
How beautiful. That's your shot of the morning on this Friday. The touching moment. A World War II veteran breaks out into song as President Trump honors survivors of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Navy vet Mickey Gantich, that is to say, singing the traditional song after the president referenced the signature battle cry yesterday in the Oval.
That's right. The commander-in-chief also signed a presidential proclamation for National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. You know, 9/11 shaped the lives of so many of us.
Sure. Yeah.
You always want to believe it will be remembered, just like Pearl Harbor. I mean, that many years ago, it's important we never forget.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
All right. Right now, let's go down to the White House and bring in White House Deputy Press Secretary J. Hogan Gidley. Hogan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
It's good to have you. Hey, the president's going down to Pensacola, Florida later on today. What for?
Well, it's got a campaign event, and obviously I can't speak to that because I don't work for the campaign, but I do know that in the first year of this presidency, we've seen a lot of historic moves by Donald Trump and a lot of successes. I mean, look, we're talking about Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, which is absolutely amazing. We're crushing ISIS. They are losing territory. This president has done all of that, not to mention the fact the booming economy. I mean, we're talking 1.5 million jobs in the first year of this presidency. The first time since 2014, we've actually seen 2 consecutive quarters of 3% growth in GDP. And the economy's grown 30% just in the first year of this presidency alone. Not to mention, as soon as we knew he was going to be the president of the United States, everything started taking off. The rolling back of regulations. You know, only in this town would it be considered a success to slow the growth of regulations. This president gets in office and cuts regulations. The economy responded, and people are doing a whole lot better than they were under Barack Obama.
Sure, no doubt, and we've heard others from the White House touting how things are taking off. But Hogan, you say it's a campaign event. Do you mean campaign event for Roy Moore, who is nearby in Alabama?
No, it's a campaign event for Donald Trump. I mean, he's the president of the United States. He won Florida when many pundits said he couldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He has a house in Florida. And the people of Pensacola helped put Donald Trump in office. This is a thank you to them and for all the hardworking Americans out there that this president is finally giving a voice to across the country.
Hogan, he went to Pensacola twice on the campaign trail. This is the first time he's going to be there as president of the United States. I understand it's going to be a campaign-type rally. The folks love that. Why is it that he resonates so well in places like Florida with these rallies?
Well, he gets to go around the D.C. bubble, the punditry class here in town, that all they can do is talk about the inner workings of government in D.C. He goes and talks directly to the people. This is the first time I've seen in my lifetime we have a president in office who actually represents Middle America. I mean, he is their voice. He is doing things for them like no other president that I've known. And it's a reward to the people of Florida who got out there and used the shoe leather to put flyers in people's mailboxes and go out and vote for this president and tout something. They wanted something new. They wanted to change. They wanted to drain the swamp. They elected Donald Trump, and he's doing all of those things. And it's wonderful to see him out there on the campaign trail. It's in his element. He gets to talk directly to people, and we're excited about it.
Hogan, I think the last campaign event he had, or maybe the one previous to that, is when he raised the issue of the kneeling in the NFL and started an entire cultural conversation. Did you guys know that was going to happen? I know there's no coordination with the campaign and the White House and all that, but did you know that was going to happen? And do you expect, do you have any idea if there's a topic he may emphasize tonight?
Who knows? I mean, look, Donald Trump is his own man. He's the best communicator. We just kind of parrot what he does. But, I mean, he knows the temperature of this country. He understands what people are going through out there. And that's what he speaks to everywhere. He obviously supports the flag. He supports the anthem. And that's one of those issues that he saw right up front and thought it was disrespectful for the troops out there, for the folks who have died and paid the ultimate sacrifice for this country, to be disrespected like that by the NFL, where people make millions of dollars a year. It was just disgusting to him, and he obviously expressed that, and a lot of the country shares that sentiment.
All right. Well, we will be broadcasting the campaign appearance of the President of the United States from Pensacola tonight here on the channel. J. Hogan Gidley, thank you very much.
Hogan, great to see you. Worked for Governor Huckabee. Clearly, the family loves you because now you work under Sarah at the White House.
That's right. I've been blessed enough to work for 2 Huckabees, so it's very exciting.
I love it.
All right.
Good for you. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. A little noisy down there at the White House.
It always is.
What's going on down there?
It's only when we start the interviews
That's right. Yeah.
Fire up the tractor. All right. 22 before the top of the hour. Jillian?
Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Happy Friday to you at home. Let's get you caught up on your news of the morning. An accused serial killer is indicted by a grand jury with 4 counts of premeditated murder. Howell Donaldson III is accused of shooting and killing 4 people over 6 weeks in Tampa, Florida. Prosecutors have not yet announced whether they will seek the death penalty. A judge now ordering his parents to show why they shouldn't be held in contempt of court for refusing to testify against their son and possibly provide critical information. Hundreds of angry activists taking to the streets of New York City, protesting federal ICE agents who try to enforce the law. Demonstrators calling on officials to ban ICE agents from all state courthouses. The demand comes after ICE arrested a domestic violence suspect waiting for his hearing. This is a bizarre story. A patient is suing her surgeon, accusing him of taking a Spanish test during her operation. Mary Edwards claims Dr. Eric Fishman tried to explain himself by telling her it was his only free moment to work on his language skills. Edwards says she was under local anesthesia, claiming she heard Fishman make phone calls in Spanish during the operation in New York. She says it caused her severe emotional distress. A teacher is using the face of Tom Brady to keep his students safe. The Boston teacher, frustrated with speeding drivers, putting the Patriots star quarterback on crossing signs. His reasoning, quote, he is so good looking, cars will have to slow down for him. Got to get a look, you know? So far, the experiment is working. What do you guys think of that?
No, but I'd be watching the sign and not the road. And
I mean, does that really work? Like,
yeah, but
it's not him.
Ainsley
it's a
claims
picture
it
of
will
his
work.
face.
What if you're not a Patriots fan?
That's true.
Then you just run into that sign.
Exactly. Look at that.
I'm kidding. Don't hate me on Twitter.
I mean, Tom Brady is married to Giselle.
Yes.
I mean, that is just
That poor
like
guy.
works of art
What has
right
he got?
there.
5 Super Bowl championships?
All right.
Yeah.
Jillian, thank
She's
you.
like one of the highest paid supermodels.
All right. Meanwhile, it is chilly outside here in New York City where Janice is out with the people.
Listen, speaking of football players, okay, who is from the South? Who is from Texas? Okay, you know that there is more snow in Texas, in Houston, Texas, in Corpus Christi, Texas, than there is in the Northeast. J.J. Watt, we all know him. We all love him from Houston, Texas. He was like a 5-year-old kid this morning. Look at him. He said in his career, he never thought he would see snow in Houston, Texas. It is happening. Let's take a look at the maps real quick because across the South, not only Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, they are getting measurable snow. And all of this snow is actually going to make its way up to the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast here in New York City tomorrow. We could actually see several inches of snow. Are you guys excited to be on Fox and Friends? Oh my gosh, do you want to say anything to Steve, Ainsley, and Pete? Merry Christmas!
And Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! You guys
Merry
are awesome!
Christmas.
That's great.
And they're all your folks. A lot of Southerners out there.
I know.
I love it.
Keep in mind, folks,
Love 'em.
if you're planning a big trip to New York City around Christmas holiday, New Year's, stop by 48th and 6th Avenue. If JD's out there, she'll put you on TV.
And she says if you make a sign, you'll definitely get on TV.
Can't beat that.
All right.
All right.
Well, moving on. Campus snowflakes, well, they're at it again, this time by creating an alternative space to protect students from a speech by a gun rights activist who believes in the Second Amendment. So why are colleges so afraid of conservative speakers?
Great question. Find out. And coming up, we introduce you to a veteran whose product solves a common, everyday problem. What's that? Stick around. We have a Fox News alert you want to hear right now. The Labor Department releasing its official hiring and unemployment figures for the month of November. 228,000 jobs were added last month. That's more than the 200,000 that were projected. The unemployment rate was 4.1%, unchanged from October. It is the strongest job market in a decade, and jobs have been added for 86 straight months. That's good news for our economy. All right, Ainsley and Pete.
All right, listen to this story, Steve. Campus snowflakes, they're at it again, taking aim at conservative speeches.
A group at Mount Holyoke College creating a, quote, alternative space to protect students from a speech by a Second Amendment activist. This just one day after another college canceled the very same speaker.
So why are all these colleges, why are they so afraid of conservative speakers? You know, because they're scary. Joining us now is the gun rights activist who was giving that speech, NRA commentator Antonia Okafor. Thank you so much for being with us, Antonia. So you're canceled, your speech is canceled at Hampshire College, and then you're asked to go speak at, what college was it? Mount Holyoke. And what did they do? They created like an alternate space for people who were offended by you or scared of what you were going to say?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. I'm enjoying being able to actually speak somewhere instead of being canceled last minute. So thank you guys. But yes, at Mount Holyoke, where I spoke at last night, is an all-girl college, and they decided that they're going to have a separate space instead of protesting me and my message about empowering women through the Second Amendment. Because apparently, compared to what the Hampshire College professor and president said, that it's basically a very controversial topic to have, and so that's why he canceled it. But it's also a very controversial for apparently women on college campuses as well. So they had an alternative space, but I was at least able to speak, and that's important.
Well, at least you were able to speak. You're right. That's one step in the right direction. But, you know, I can think of another safe space, which is called your dorm room.
Your dorm room, right.
You wouldn't even necessarily have...
That'd be considered an alternate...
Yeah, I assume it was a mandatory event for all students. So where does this idea come from that you need to be... You can not only not attend, you need to be coddled instead?
Yeah, well, you know, with my safe space, though, is the United States of America. I believe my free speech zone is the United States of America, and my right to carry zone is the United States of America. And, you know, with this tour that I'm doing, I intend to fight and protect our First and Second Amendment rights, and so that every single college campus can make sure that they know that that is something that is enforced through the Constitution. And I think our students these days, they don't know that. I can't tell you how many times when I would speak that these students would come up to me, whether they're liberal or conservative, that these professors are really keeping them in the dark when it comes to our rights as American citizens, our natural rights as American citizens. And I think it's important that people like me, whether we are canceled last minute or not, continue to fight that good fight, because they're not hearing it. They're not hearing it from these role models they call celebrities and people in the Hollywood industry. And they're not hearing it, unfortunately, at home as well, or from their professors. So it's important that people continue to fight and stand up and talk about what's important to being an American.
Well, and Tonya, I'm now triggered and need a safe space. That was very dangerous rhetoric that you just brought to this television program. Hey, thanks for doing it. It's still not easy to go to those campuses where you know you're going to face resistance. So appreciate your message and the cause you're fighting for with the Second Amendment.
Thanks, Antonio. Great to see you this morning.
Much.
Thank you. Well, he served our country with honor, and now he's helping Americans fix a common everyday problem. Coming up, the all-American gift you will want to buy from veteran Paul Cunningham. There it is. I'm interested to see what it is. But first,
I want to thank him for fighting for our country, and then I want to hand it up to Sandra. What floor are you on, Sandra? Where are you in this building?
You know, I always forget. I think we're on 12 at this very moment, you know.
Okay. There's so many
easily
studios
get
that can't
lost
keep them
around here.
straight.
Yeah. All right, Ainsley and Pete, thank you. Great show this morning. A state of emergency that we are watching. It is in effect in the state of California amid the worst wildfire season in decades. Hundreds of homes have been reduced to ashes there. A representative of the U.S. Forest Service joins us with the latest plus. FBI Director Christopher Wray facing a grilling on Capitol Hill yesterday over the integrity of the FBI. Did the FBI agent who sent those anti-Trump text messages also bring the controversial Trump dossier to the FISA court? Congressman Matt Gaetz, who's traveling with the president tonight, will be joining us. America's Newsroom in just moments.